I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Riko Siempre joins us. Hi.
Hello there, everyone.
Hey, we managed to get Riko in between 24-hour shifts. As things go in that business, I really do appreciate you coming on. If you could introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, hello. My name is Riko Siempre. I am an in real life registered nurse and a VTuber registered nurse educator. So, I do a lot of nursing, health, and healthcare education as a VTuber in the online space. So, here I am, and hopefully, you guys learn a thing or two from me.
Yeah, well, I hope so too. I mean, we can definitely use it these
Of
days.
Course.
And now I'm off my soapbox. I get dizzy on those things. The being able to do this and become kind of an informational streamer for these folks. Was it easy for you to make the transition into doing this online as opposed to work, or was it tough kind of extending your work into what you're doing online?
So, I think I got a lot of feedback when I'm at work, is that a lot of my patients, a lot of whom I work alongside with, and I really gotta put it to my wife too.
Mm-hmm.
They said I'm really good at educating.
Mm-hmm.
They said I have a really good way of being able to explain a very a particularly hard concept or a difficult concept that most people can't really seem to get, like in healthcare, and try to find a way that makes it a lot easier to understand for people, so that way they understand. So that way they understand what exactly is going on with their health. Yeah. So I figured, hey, maybe this is a good way to do this kind of thing in the online space. I can spread this kind of knowledge out and about here.
No,
yeah,
but kind of cut it down to manageable bite-sized pieces rather than the whole elephant.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah. There's a whole lot of knowledge and a whole lot of research and depth that goes into all these things, and unfortunately, I've in the time I've been in school and all the stuff that we need to know, and as nurses and as clinicians, there's so much that goes into it. But the patient, the layperson, they won't know that because they only see us for only so long. Right. So I have to make that digestible for them to understand. So that way they were like, oh, okay, I get that.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but sometimes you're fighting against, your 30 minutes, 40 minutes with a person as opposed to their 16 hours a day on the internet.
Of course. It is a tough crowd and a tough competition out there because you only have so much time and attention for them.
Yeah.
Now, like, I have time in the clinic and where I work at where, a patient's sitting on a chair in dialysis for X amount of time, but at the same time, it's, they don't have to pay attention to me.
Right.
And the same goes for the online space. I'm only there for, so if they so choose to see me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you end up having to battle against information that people get online that is basically, frankly, completely incorrect, and they believe it?
I'd say almost all the time. Whether in practice or even online. But I always try to be professional when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that that people are vulnerable to those kinds of to those beliefs, but I think if you're able to go to where they're at and try to have try to be at where they're at their understanding, mm-hmm. and understand their motivations, then you can work with them. Mm-hmm. So that way they can understand your viewpoint and why you're trying to teach them what is best for them. Mm-hmm. So that's what I try to do every day at work is, hey, if this particular lab value looks pretty bad, let's figure out why exactly this it is this way.
Mm,
It could be a lifestyle thing. It could be some other factors that are going on at home.
right,
Because I only see a patient or work with a patient for so long,
right.
because otherwise the responsibility of patient's life is ultimately on them.
Yeah, yeah. And how dare you introduce empathy into the conversation?
Well, that is how dare I?
Yes,
How dare I,
yes,
sir?
right. This is that's one of the things that's lacking all over the place these days. But you really have to do it that way, don't you, in order to get down to what the patient needs and get them to understand and believe what you're saying.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's been a lot of experiences, and not just what's reported online, but
Hmm.
even like from what I've seen in my own two eyes of other nurses, of me seeing other nurses, of other doctors that just kind of just brush off other patients, how they feel or their experiences just like that. And that's an unfortunate reality that almost everyone has faced. And that can turn anybody away.
Hmm.
And and that's something that I want to be able to at least be able to teach and educate others on, that hey, it doesn't have to be that way.
Do you encourage the patients to ask questions?
Yes, of course.
Mm. Well, I know that there are some that don't. there,
Uh,
there, there.
yeah. Some people don't. Some patients don't want to ask questions. Just say yes.
Okay.
But part of it is also trying to not just. Part of it is also trying to chip away at some learned things they may have gotten from the healthcare system.
Hmm.
Maybe some cultural things that they've also learned, like because technically, what, like this provider, this doctor, this nurse, this practitioner, they are the expert. So you need to just listen and not respond. That's not the truth.
Hmm.
Um, the Especially because back in the days, back in the olden days,
Yes, I know. I would live those olden days. Yes. Eh,
you were supposed to do as you were told.
yeah.
Thing is, healthcare is a partnership,
Yeah.
and we're supposed to work with you.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you know yourself best, and we're here to support you in that journey. So, if you want certain things the way they are, then yes, then let's do it that way.
Hmm.
Um, if you want to pursue this kind of care, then yeah, I want to support you in that. However, that also comes with caveats too.
Hmm.
There can be good things, there can be bad things. You need to know this, and I'm here to let you know about that. I'm not telling you to not do it, but here may be the consequences. So yes, I always encourage my patients to ask questions, and whenever I do educate, I always do the follow up. I'm like, hey, um, do you understand anything I've taught you? Do you have any questions for me? And even if they don't, I always tell them, hey, if you ever need anything, if you have any more questions, you can always ask me. I'm always on the floor.
Yeah. And it's it becomes a belief system in a way in some instances. And the way I'm looking at it from the outside of the industry, but I hear about situations where somebody just powers through something. And they I know that the human body is so adaptable, and I don't think that is discussed enough, that we can live operating at about 10% our capacity if it
Oh
goes
yes.
gradually over time, and not even realize it, that we're like, well, I'm doing okay now. Well, you could be doing this much better if you just do this, this simple thing. I imagine it's tough to convince people, especially us old people, if if something's going not the way it's supposed to be.
Ooh, yeah. So I've seen plenty of that in
Mm,
my career as a nurse.
yeah, I bet. We're all against you.
there's uh like I won't be naming names because obviously or mentioning anyone specifically because of patient privacy.
Yeah.
I do have this one patient, and and me, the doctors, the social workers, other care technicians and nurses are beyond baffled as to how this man is still alive. He's like literally grasping at life, and
Yeah.
to be honest, it's like I don't know, guys. I don't know, fam. Um, maybe it might you might feel I don't know. If you were to look at his chart, he is a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
But hey, if he wants to continue holding on, I can't stop him, and I'm here to support that.
Yeah. I mean, some of us are just held together by my, cholesterol and scar tissue.
Oh boy.
And if you take one of those away, we're just going to fall into a puddle on the floor. But I can give you a straight up thing from my own family. My grandfather, who
Yes.
lived to like 93, he was
Oh.
a wonderful, stubborn old man, and he at age 91 was still mowing his lawn, was still had a 10-hour a week job he was doing, a little nothing job. He goes into a new doctor's office and they tell him he's diabetic. He stopped eating for a week because he was scared. And I'm just saying, Grandpa, you're 91. You've chewed tobacco since you were 15. Eat. I mean,
Hmm.
there, you might get a couple more years out of it, but why would you scare somebody like that? Um, yeah, he might be a little bit diabetic, but holy cats.
No, I totally get that.
Yeah.
And honestly, learning how to communicate to your patients and messaging is really important
Hmm.
in healthcare.
Oh yeah.
And that's where you need the empathy. That's where you need to learn the bedside manner, the chairside manner, or whatever,
Mm.
how they want to call it, like in whatever clinic or hospital.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's that human to human interaction, because and like in cases like grandpa, I'm pretty sure he had so much on his mind when he got that news.
Oh yeah.
um and part of it is that, like, yes, he had probably all those other things going on with him, with the tobacco use
Oh
and possibly other things happening in his life, the
yeah,
comorbidities.
yeah,
But I maybe the diabetic diagnosis was also a shake in that reality that he too is frail.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
sometimes it takes shattering that belief that you're not that you're not invincible, or
Hmm.
that you too are fallible, that can make things change for you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's happened to me too.
yeah.
And it actually helped me really become a better nurse in
Yeah.
my own practice, because I've been injured myself, and I'm actually physically disabled, that I'm still working as a nurse.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
here I am.
And here you're the epitome of what I talked about being adaptable.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had to adapt through that, I imagine. What you're able to do, and you kept going. And stubborn. There's probably a lot of stubborn in there too. That kind of goes with the adaptability. And the communication thing, I think, is very underrated. Like you said, I would think that a nurse or any type of health professional who has a good interviewing skill and that type of rapport with their patient learns a lot more about them and is able to treat them better.
Yes, actually, very much so. So there was actually we had this quote unquote um problem patient and their wife
Mm-hmm.
in the clinic that um I was just coming back to from medical leave of absence. I had like a surgery back in Halloween. Not to get too much into it,
Yeah.
but apparently the staff were having bit of issues with them, and so I was getting the breakdown of what was going on. I'm like, okay. All right, so this is what they're saying, but I really didn't have a chance to figure out what the patient and the wife had to say,
Mhm.
because they were very much had a bit of a front to them, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Right.
But once I had time to actually sit down and have a one-on-one with them, um, they were it was actually very enlightening to figure out why exactly things are the way they are.
Mhm.
And honestly, I can say um, things are actually getting better. I want to say they're getting better in terms of how they're going about their care, how they're going about getting their treatments,
Yeah.
and how we're communicating. Because now things now now they're able to understand. Hey, these people, these nurses, the staff here, they're on our side. They're
Yeah.
trying to help us.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not trying to give you the things that they're diagnosing you with. I,
Yeah,
I
yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people like like when they go into like medical offices or like healthcare offices, that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of getting the diagnosis, and that's not the point. We're like, yeah, that like it can happen, but we're here to help you. We're here to try to help get you through this too. We're here to support you as much as your family members are.
but Rico, when I
Of
came in, I didn't have a broken leg. How come I have one when I'm leaving?
well, we had to diagnose that first. The X-ray and the MRI definitely says it's broken.
Well, it was okay before I came in. It just hurt. And that's tough to go up against. But I mean, you guys are saints for having to deal with people like this on occasion, and people with real worries and sometimes worries that they put upon themselves or have other types of issues coming in,
Of
having to deal
course.
with that too. So
And
with the online stuff you're doing,
yes, yes.
has that helped you in that regard, or are you just kind of carrying on what you're doing with in that regard?
So part of it is because I'm a big old nerd about my career. I figured that, right?
There's nothing wrong with
Um,
that, believe me.
yeah, yeah. I kind of wanted to extend that and see if I can't help other people in other ways too,
Hmm.
because I know I can't physically do the one-on-one or have that space, like say in the clinic, to be able to offer that. Let me try to have like this online platform and try to see, how else can I reach out to others now, because in what have I experienced as a registered nurse, when I try to look up this kind of information, um, you're either it's I want I when especially when it comes to like health information. I don't want to say that there are clinicians and there are doctors, nurses that they aren't trying to have better health communication out there,
Right.
but it kind of goes back to the point of where I was saying earlier. We're not necessarily meeting people where they're at, especially when it comes to the younger generation.
Hmm.
Um, I don't see, not to say doctors should be streaming or nurses should be streaming and like talking about their cases and private healthcare information,
Right.
but at but um, being able to share that breadth of knowledge and show, hey, hey, this is what we're doing, this cool thing here,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. um this is how the human body works. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it would show that, hey, this is something you would like to know, especially in our current, especially with how things are nowadays in the world. A lot of the information that comes out, it's so rapid fire. You got to be able to catch them wherever they can.
Oh yeah.
So part of it is like I'm trying to find a way to do the same way,
Yeah.
um, because I know when I was in nursing school,
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of it was such a deluge of information
Mm-hmm.
that no one can just sit down and just take the info.
Right. Right.
So here I am I'm trying to use my skills to the best ability to sum up and simplify and make it as digestible as possible for anybody who's willing to listen.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now is trying to bring healthcare or healthcare education to people who are willing to listen, especially the VTuber community.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to throw up a theorem here, and you tell me whether I'm right or wrong with it, or whether how you
Yes,
think.
sir.
The more we know about healthcare as an average human being, the less we actually know about healthcare. Because we're getting a lot of information that not all of it applies to us.
It's a yes and no.
Hmm.
Because yes, the more you know about healthcare, it's less that you feel like you actually know.
Mm.
But the more you know, the more that you can actually apply that in your life.
Mm.
I'm not sure if that makes sense in any way possible.
Yeah.
But let me make an example here. So, say for example, I'm actually going to be releasing a short pretty soon after this interview about how the cold weather does it actually make you sick? Because it's being indoors with other people for a prolonged period of time that causes people to be sick.
Right.
So, do people know that? No, not in. I mean, I wouldn't say people don't know that, but it's the overall belief or general belief that it's cold. Therefore, if you're always out in the cold, you're going to get sick. That's not true. It's germ theory is a thing, and it's always going to be a thing. And and whether or not it's in the back of your mind, it's probably going to appear somewhere.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm hoping that piece of knowledge will be there.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry about that.
No. The cold affects you in ways, but it's not going to give you a cold.
Very much so.
I mean, it might. My guess is it kind of might break you down a little bit and make you a little more susceptible for things to happen. If you're standing out there shivering without any clothes on, it's probably going to really make you, really injure you in many ways to do that sort of thing.
So yeah, it can. So it does bring down your core body temperature. That is one thing.
Yeah.
Another thing is that some viruses actually thrive better and replicate more in colder environments. So like say that's why a lot of viruses thrive more in nasal and oral passages. That's why it's so important when you need to cover up your nose and mouth when you cough or sneeze or you wear a mask, because guess what? So much of that virus is being replicated in those passages because it's colder.
Yeah. And your body's trying to get rid of them. And that's one of the ways to get rid of them is get it out through the nose and the mouth, and there's reasons for these things. It's tough. I imagine it is really tough these days, especially to convince somebody who has read what they think is correct on the internet.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Mm-hmm. And as much as I and so many other professionals in our field, we can try as we might, but you can't. Sometimes you just can't shake belief.
Right.
And part of it is part of that in shaking those kinds of beliefs is the key factor there that we said that you've mentioned before, Eric, is empathy. Mm-hmm. Being able to tell those stories, tell your story, tell other patients' stories about what would happen, why was it happening, because that's how you get to their level.
Yeah,
because it doesn't matter like whatever information they whatever they decided to bring in. What matters is like, how will this affect their life? How will this affect the lives of their loved ones? And after they, and hopefully maybe after they think about it, they'll actually reconsider. Now, will it work all the time? No,
No.
not all the time. But it's a better chance than just shouting facts and figures at.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And 10% is better than zero. So,
Oh yeah.
and I mean, anytime you can present that, and especially in things that are transmittable, 10% now means 20%, 40% later, and that's a whole tree you're knocking off of people who could get infected with one thing or another.
Oh
But
yeah. And if we can help, if I can help anyone,
mm,
and that's always been my motto when I started doing this as an art and educator, VTuber art educator, is that if I can help at least someone, anyone, with whatever knowledge I'm able to impart, with my education, then that's a job well done.
yeah. So, what kind of feedback have you gotten from other medical professionals for this?
So that's so there's not a whole lot of feedback I've been getting from other medical professionals because not a whole lot of, believe it or not, there's not a whole lot of, well, actually that is pretty, now that I mention, not a whole lot of medical professionals that do turn into VTubers. um now because of that, I actually know more medical professionals who are VTubers that that it's that that I actually be able to get more in contact with,
Yeah,
and lo and behold, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I know, yeah, they're a doctor, they're a
yeah,
nurse, they like to stream and such. Sometimes I like to play games with them too.
yeah.
I remember this one time I played Tekken 8 with an orthopedic surgeon, and we had like a fake argument about why you can't make me check a patient every 15 minutes for manual blood pressure cuffs.
And meanwhile, both your characters are dying out in the field. Healing.
Pretty much.
Isn't anybody here a healer? It's
Uh,
it's amazing to me that people are able now to use this technology and this medium to not just entertain but inform as well, and and have the will and the idea to do it, because um, heck, it's probably a lot easier for you to just not do it than just to do it. Um, but what keeps you going at it?
um, honestly, part of it is just both. I think there are a couple. I think two things primarily. One is I've always wanted to have a creative outlet for myself.
Uh-huh.
I've never been able to actually want. So fun fact: I was actually a music theater kid.
Mm-hmm.
But then I listened to my parents, and they said, "Oh, find a more stable job. Find
Yeah.
something that's not gonna uh that's gonna pay the bills." So here I
Yes.
am as a nurse.
Yes. Yes.
So
You
that's one.
you listened. You listened. I
And
didn't, and went into radio, and that's where. And 35 years later, now I have a job that pays the bills.
I mean, they weren't wrong,
Yes, they weren't wrong.
but but at the same time, I also learned to love the career.
Yeah.
Um, and two is that part of it is that not only have I learned to want to be able to share my career and share like what it's like to work in healthcare and how you can help change and impact lives.
Mhm.
But part of it is also a bit of wanting to do um, compassion on my part.
Mhm.
Like I want to help other people,
Mhm.
and it's my own way
Yeah.
of trying to put some more good into the world because
Yeah.
you see so much bad out there.
Oh yeah.
So if I can help someone in some way, shape, or form, you know, let it be this way,
Yeah.
and let it be a fun way,
Yeah.
in an informative way, educational way.
Yeah.
So
Well,
here I am.
you can hear it as you talk about it, how much this means to you, and how important it is to you to do something like this, which underscores your commitment to it, which is something I take my imaginary hat off to. because my head's far too big to wear a regular hat. But it's really to step out and do this when and what are you getting back from it? I mean, what's everybody's got to say? Well, what's your stake in this? So, what are you getting back from this?
What I get back from it?
Yeah.
Shoot. So, that's part of it is that I kind of wrestled with that question about why I decided to become a VTuber.
Mm-hmm.
Did I want to actually find success in it? Did I actually want to, make a living off of it? Honestly, not really. I'm very happy with my career right now. I'm happy with the life I live. I like being a VTuber because it's fun. It's a nice hobby.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to help people at the while I can as well,
Yeah.
if I can do so. So why the heck not? So for me, I guess I get out of it because I do this because part of it is that I want I want to be able to continue helping people in my own way and still spread that goodness, that kindness wherever I can. And for me, it's just being able to, I guess and sorry if I'm a little rambly here, but for me, that's some sort of fulfillment for me.
Yeah.
To show that, hey, I just didn't get this, job as a registered nurse just because, it pays well. And trust me, it pays well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you do, it doesn't pay enough, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, for sometimes, yeah, it doesn't. And I trust me, Eric, I can go in a soapbox.
I bet
how healthcare workers need to get paid better.
Oh yes,
especially patient care technicians and all the other jazz. But that's another conversation.
Very much so.
But I also do this because for me, it's like my way of wanting to give back for all the times that people have helped me in my life. So if I can help someone else, then I can do that, even if it is as a weird animated tired looking man who's frumpy and needs to have a double shot of espresso every night.
Oh well, there's also the singing.
Oh yes, you caught that.
Yeah. So when are we gonna start hearing the singing?
So as I probably introduced in 7 parts of my bios, I am also a self-proclaimed bard.
Yes.
So as my wife has said to me, I am a whole person. I'm not just a nurse.
Right.
So that means I want to embrace all parts of me.
Yes. That
includes being more creative, and be able to sing whole lot more, and play games more.
Yeah.
So yes. And so fun fact, I actually did try to VTube like a year ago. But that's when I had a far more stressful nursing job, and I had no time whatsoever. And I originally wanted to be a bard, but not with the time I had with that previous job.
It'd be more like a jingle.
Yeah.
Just go quick McDonald's jingle and hang up.
Yeah, but no, but like I said, part of it is I want to express my creativity, and yes, I do want to continue more singing covers, and maybe, I don't know, try to do an original song if I can. I doubt I can write one, but I've also been trying to help out other people getting some basic acoustic guitar or like electric guitar tracks as well.
Yeah.
Because hey, I'm an amateur musician at best. Professional, I am not.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm a passionate devotee of music.
Well, you also sound like you're a pretty good guy.
I try to be. It's I try my best to always choose the right thing to do. Do I do it all the time? Not necessarily, but it's always a conscious choice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really irritating. But that's okay. I'll make up for all your good choices with all my bad ones. No, just keep doing what you do. It's great, and I'm glad that you found an outlet to not only fulfill your want to help other people, but also fulfill your need to stretch out and get away by not getting away so much, and giving back to folks, even though you're already giving so much of yourself. in what you're doing with your job. I wish you absolutely nothing but continued success with it, because it's you're doing this for the best of reasons, and I would love to see more success for you.
Why, thank you, Eric. It's very. Aw, I kind of want to cry now.
I'm good at that. I can make people cry. Usually, what I do by making people cry is sing, and they cry like, "Please stop," and and that's it's pretty easy. So you sing the good stuff, and I'll do the bad stuff, and we'll meet in the middle.
Fair point.
If you have all the talent I didn't, you'd be a star.
I could have been a contender, Ma.
If I was just as good as Eric is bad. Riko, a great pleasure to talk with you. We're going to have all the links in the description for the interview. And come back soon, and we'll talk again more about what's going on with you, okay?
I would love to, Eric. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you again for providing this space for so many other VTubers and having being able to talk with us. It's been a mighty big honor to talk with you, man.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.